undercover CIA operative. My assignment was preventing rogue states and terrorists from getting nuclear weapons. You name a hotspot, I lived it. Then, Dick Cheney's chief of staff took revenge against my husband and leaked my identity. His name, Scooter Libby. Guess who pardoned him last year?
That was Valerie Plame kicking off her campaign for the 3rd Congressional District in New Mexico, as a Democrat, of course, with a campaign video that actually looks more like a trailer for a spy thriller movie. And, of course, wanting to be a politician, she starts right off with a big, big lie. Namely, as what you saw there, she claimed that Scooter Libby leaked her name, and that was leaked the name to columnist Robert Novak in 2003. Well, the Washington Post, the very next day, fact-checked that claim about Scooter Libby, and they gave her 3 Pinocchios for lying. Now, the only big question now is, why wasn't it 4 Pinocchios? Because it was just a flat-out lie. So, why? Why did Valerie Plame lie about who leaked her name to columnist Robert Novak? Well, after we watch the rest of this video, I'll explain who the real culprit was and why it's a very inconvenient name for Valerie Plame and why she just hates even mentioning this guy's name.
My service was cut short when my own government betrayed me. We left Washington to raise our kids in New Mexico, one of the best places on earth. Now I'm running for Congress because we're going backwards on national security, health care, and women's rights. We need to turn our country around. And yes, the CIA really does teach us how to drive like this. You've probably heard my name. And Mr. President, I've got a few scores to settle.
And we have a score to settle, Valerie, because in all your drama queen antics about your name being leaked, you accused the wrong person. Scooter Libby got framed on a perjury trap. The person that actually leaked the name of Valerie Plame, the Plame game, to Robert Novak, columnist Robert Novak in 2003 was Richard Armitage. And she hates to be reminded about it because Richard Armitage was a very deep State Department insider. So, and if you see any clips about her being asked about Richard Armitage, she gets very, very uncomfortable. In fact, in the movie about her exploits, Fair Game, Richard Armitage is mentioned nowhere in the movie except briefly in a postscript. So my suggestion is to people in New Mexico, the best thing you could do if you don't like her silly antics is just print up big signs and let's say only Richard Armitage. That's all you gotta have, just Richard Armitage. You don't have to say who is Richard, just Richard Armitage. Now, she might not let you into her actual campaign events if they're indoors with those signs. But you know what? At the very least, you all could stand outside. Now, a lot of people are going to wonder, oh, what the hell? Who's this Richard Armitage? Well, that's why the name will come up, because eventually the press will be, even people in the press, a lot of them aren't all that bright. They'll have no idea who Richard Armitage is and start questioning her about it. And by the way, this is one real big beef I have, is that the special prosecutor back then, Patrick Fitzgerald, he knew within a few days of becoming a special prosecutor, whatever you want to call it, special counsel, he knew it was Richard Armitage. It was no big secret. He knew it was Richard Armitage. So what did he do? Well, what he should have done is say, hey, it's over. Boom, 1, 2, 3, we got the culprit. It's all over. But no, Patrick Fitzgerald, what a slime. He told Richard Armitage just to keep his mouth shut, and then he spent the next millions and millions of dollars for the next few years ruining the lives of a lot of people, including Scooter Libby on a phony perjury trap. Meanwhile, Richard Armitage is just sitting there watching all this going on. Wait, weren't you man enough to put a stop to it, Richard? So I also have a beef with him. So anyway, let's get that name out there. Richard Armitage. Just hold up those signs and let the public know, especially in that 3rd Congressional District of New Mexico. It's the best thing you could do to counter her silly antics. And I'll see you guys later.
Subscribe to the Dummy Funnies now!
And don't forget to hit that notification bell, please!